Hey everyone, how's it? All right, take two. Hey everyone, how's it going? I just want to talk today about the three best places to meet a good Provence girl. Now I want to say the first place would be probably Negros Occidental. That's a good place to go. I'd recommend staying north on the island, like maybe around San Carlos City. I met a lot of girls there. They were sweet. Then you have Dumaguete. Problem with Dumaguete is there's a lot of tourists there. So the more tourists, the more competition you're going to have, and you're not going to have as much luck in somewhere where there's a lot of tourists. So I'd recommend staying away from Dumaguete. You know, I was there for quite a while, and I had some luck there, but you know, I would definitely recommend somewhere else. A lot of competition there. So, and where I would stay away from is I'd recommend staying away from the Why Not if you're in Dumaguete. Going to a bar is not the place to find a sweet Provence girl. Actually, if you go to the Why Not, what you're going to find is a lady boy. And I've heard stories of guys going into the Why Not only to wake up the next morning to see that the person they're sleeping with actually has a sausage hanging between their legs. So unless you like lady boys, hey, that's the #1 place to go. By all means, go to the Why Not. You'll get what you're looking for if you want a lady boy. Anyway, that's not my cup of tea. So yeah, I'd recommend going more north. Stay away from Macolo. A lot of foreigners there. Not too many in San Carlos City. I did meet some girls there. One of the ways I did meet them was on a dating app. So I did use Filipino Cupid, and I used Date in Asia. Now, the problem with those apps is I would say 85% of them are scams. I had my buddies use those apps too, and we all talked about it. And we said between, I'd say 80 to 90%, we all agreed were probably scams. So you really got to wade through a lot of scammers on the apps. A lot of girls that just want to scam you for money. You know, if they ask you for money, they're just a scam. So if you talk to any girl in there, she asks you for money, just cut your communication with her and just move on to the next. So with that said, I'm going to move on to what I think the second best place is, and that would be the island of Samar. That's where I met my wife. Well, actually, I didn't meet her there, but that's where she's from, is the island of Samar. She lives actually in eastern Samar, in Provence City is where she's from. I also have 3 buddies of mine. They met their wives in Ormoc, which is in Leyte. So that's another good place to go to, is up in Leyte. I'd stay away from Tokloban, lots of foreigners there. So in eastern Samar, you know, I live in Provence, so when I say foreigners, there's only, right now, I think about 5 of us that live here. I know them all. There was about a dozen of them here, but they've gone back to either the country they were from, Australia. One of them was from Australia. He permanently moved back there. And the others went back to the United States, but I think because of the lockdown, they can't get back here right now. So there's hardly any foreigners that live here. They have one event every year. It's a surfing competition, and I'll see a few foreigners show up for that, but not really that many. It's a great place to meet girls. Actually, I think the best way to meet your girls here, not on the dating app, just go out to department stores. I think that's the best way to meet them, is when they're at work at department stores. You can talk to them there. I have a lot of girls that actually are quite forward and come up and talk to me and ask me if I'm single, or you know, I tell them I'm married, but then they ask if I have single friends, which unfortunately I don't. The few friends I do have, they're happy being single. So I'd recommend just doing that. And when you're going around and about, I would recommend downloading the Agoda app. I book all my hotels either through Agoda, and I use Expedia. I go to both. I try to see who's got the best deal between those 2 apps. So once you're over here, you're going to probably be landing in Manila. So I would just start in Manila. Manila is a great place to meet a girl. I know there's a lot of bloggers that say stay away from Manila. It's not a good place to meet a Provence girl, but it actually, I disagree. You know, what you're going to find is opinions vary, and my opinion is different than those that say it is not a good place. I think it actually is a good place. Actually, that's where my wife was when I first met her. She was living and working in Manila. And why I say that is a lot of the girls in Manila are from a province. There's just no money here. There's no jobs in these provinces. So a lot of them will go to Manila to go to work. Now, with that said, you can take the province girl out of the province, but you can't take the province out of the girl. So it's all about how they were raised and the environment they were raised in that makes the person. It's not because they moved to the city. I'm a country boy. I grew up on a huge cattle ranch in Southern Oregon, and I ended up moving to the city for the same reason, for work, because I wanted to work construction. There was no work really down at the cattle ranch I grew up on. But I'm still a country boy at heart. I haven't changed. So anyway, that's my spin on it. So I would just start in Manila and then maybe work your way down. Go down to Negros. You try San Carlos City. Well, first you're going to fly. If you're flying, you're going to fly into Dumaguete. Get yourself a hotel in Dumaguete. Check it out. Go over to Robinson Mall. You're going to see a lot of foreigners there. Maybe sit down. This is what I did. And just talk with them. They'll be more than happy to let you sit down and talk with them. They always are welcome to a newbie to the crowd. And then after that, I would maybe probably just rent a scooter. They're cheap. You can get a scooter for $5 a day. If you rent it for a whole month, you get a better deal, of course. Then travel north, go up to San Carlos City. You could try getting on the dating app and meeting girls along the way on the dating app. Just be careful. A lot of them are scammers. Make sure they don't ask you for money. I would also, I'd want to, you got to get to know them. You got to, if you're really going to get serious, you got to get to know their family, because you want to make sure they were not raised in an environment that had psychopathy in it. So when I say psychopathy, I'm talking psychopaths. They were raised by parents who were psychopaths, or sociopaths, or narcissism, gaslighting. And it's important you know how to recognize all those signs, because those are all red flags. And if you don't know how to, there's a lot of great YouTube videos on how to recognize forms of psychopathy. A lot of good videos on that. I've watched a lot of them and learned to recognize red flags. Now, what I'm going to get onto is what I think is the best way to meet a good, sweet province girl, and how I met my wife. So if you're back in the United States, and do you have any friends that are married to Filipinas? Because that's what I did. Is I had a friend that was married to a Filipina. His wife is from Ormoc. They've been married for, I believe, 15 years now. And they have a daughter together, and they're happy. And she's faithful to him. And there's a 38-year age gap there. I know a lot of guys that fear taking their girl back home because they're going to lose them, is what they think. Well, if you have a girl that's going to leave you once you get back to the States, you picked a bad girl. It's really your fault for, having a bad picker. A lot of guys that have bad pickers, they're just not good at picking the right girl. So you really have to vet them. Make sure you vet her, know all the red flags before you take a girl back home. And one of the things I would do to weed out the ones that talked about wanting to go to the United States, I'd just tell them, I have no plans on going back to the United States. I plan on living here in the Philippines for the rest of my life. And that weeded out all the ones that wanted to go to the United States. That's your best way to weed them out. Just tell them you don't plan on going back. And then later, if you vet them, you can tell them, well, maybe I've changed my mind. Maybe I do want to go back. But you got to really vet them good. And anyway, I'm going to get to how I met my wife. So the best way is if you have friends in the United States, they're married to Filipinas. So, they know girls over here that are good friends. They're friends with them. They're good friends with them. And anyway, I was over in the Philippines, and my buddy Jim, who's married to a Filipina, had a friend that knew somebody. It just so happened she was over at their house, and they were telling her about me, and I'm in the Philippines, and I'm looking for a sweet province girl. Well, just so happened she had a good friend of hers that was from Eastern Samar, from Barangan City, who was actually living at the time in Manila. In fact, she'd been living in Manila when I met her for, I think, 3 years. And, she came here because came to Manila because she was looking for work. And anyway, it didn't mean she was a bad person because she was living in Manila. There she is now. Hi, I'm doing a YouTube video. Anyway, you want to come say hi? Here's my wife.
Hi.
So there she is. Anyway, we've been married 2 years now. We have a beautiful daughter, and we have another one on the way. But anyway, back to meeting a girl. So if you have a friend, maybe knows a friend has a Filipino wife that maybe knows somebody else, or maybe she knows somebody, that's the best way to really meet a sweet Providence girl, because they've already been vetted. And that's how it all took place for me. And she introduced me, and we first started talking on Facebook Messenger. I was able to look at her Facebook, and she was already vetted. She's a good person. She's from Provence, and even though she was living in Manila working, didn't turn her into a bad person like I keep hearing these bloggers talking about. I totally disagree with them. You can't take the Provence out of the girl just because she moved to the city. Like I said, it's all about how she was raised, and was she raised around psychopathy? So, and like I said, if you don't know what psychopathy is, look it up. It's forms of a psychopath, sociology, or narcissism, gaslighting. Just study it. You need to know the red flags before coming here. So anyway, I think if you can meet somebody that's been vetted by somebody else, like how I met my wife, is the best way. And this is free advice. I'm not going to try and charge you to give the best advice to take you to my Patreon page like some of these other people do. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not asking you to send me money on PayPal. This is all free advice. If you want to support my channel, how you can support my channel is by giving me a big thumbs up, share, and to share my videos. And that's how you can support my channel. Anyway, that's really all I have to say. I think that's the best way to meeting a sweet Provence girl in the Philippines. Anyway, and until next time, I'll see you later.